Then we've got some questions from, and forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, Salah Al-Athari. And his first point or question was, yo, this is sick, I'm going to spam your comment section then. And he did. Congrats on the 300, my dude. Legend. I've got some demands here. Can you rub your favourite guitar that you own on a camera? Yes, I can rub my favourite guitar on a camera. Do you want me to? Is that what you're saying? I don't really know what you want me to rub it with, because that's, I mean, it's a bit of a strange request, but I got a cloth here. Favourite guitar. That's me rubbing my guitar. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah, you like that? Hot diggity dang. If you don't want a cloth, I'm rubbing it with myself, my hand. There you go. His second question. Secondly, I want to see you restring your guitar from start to finish. Always thought the way that I do it is ineffective. The fear of snapping the high E string, yes, I get that, is a pain. And if you've got a precaution for it, I'd love to hear it. If it's a sped up time lapse, I'll be happy to, because I can't make the video too long and boring. I understand, yes. I'm not going to restring my guitar, but I have filmed myself restringing a guitar before. So let's cut to that footage now. And my tip around restringing is take it really slowly, don't try to rush it. Make sure that when you're stringing the guitar, what I tend to do is I take a long time to stretch each string. If it's a Floyd Rose, good luck, just pay somebody else to do it, because I've got no tried and tested amazing way of doing that. I'd invest in some locking nuts if you don't have them, like locking tuners similar to the PRS ones, or other ones that are available, and just stretch the hell out of the strings really. That's about it, to be honest. The high E string, when I'm stretching it, I'll see if I can turn it this way so you can see, but I'll hold the string down and just have a little bit of it being stretched instead of bringing the whole thing up, and then just like go down the string until it's always in tune. Don't try to rush that process. The other thing about strings, I use Diodarios pretty much exclusively, and I have done for many years now, probably about 15 years or 10 to 15 years, I can't even remember, but they're my go-to brand. I found that other brands, I just snap them all the time, because I do hit quite hard. And in particular, this PRS is running NYXL Diodario strings, and it is even better than what it was with regular Diodarios on there. So highly recommend those. They sound amazing, they don't snap, they last forever, and they always stay in tune. So check them out. Obligatory gear link there, but I'm not endorsed by Diodario yet, hopefully. And as I said, I've not used another brand of strings for probably about 12 years if I think about it. Anyway, that's the answer to that question. This is a really good question. This is such a good question, so thank you so much for saying this. Thirdly, how did you shift your skills of playing when sitting to when you're standing? So he says he's a relatively guitar noob when it comes to that kind of thing, so wondered if there was a guide to how to perform when standing that the guitarists magically know of. We don't. Even if it's your own opinion, which it will be, I just want to know through your experience, pretty much. Yes. You can do a few things. Number one, you can wear your guitar when you're stood up in the same place as what it would be if you were sat down. So if it falls around, let's say, the nipple area, then when you're stood up, make sure it's in the same place. That's number one. Some guitarists can do that. It's a very Tom Morello look. I don't think it's particularly cool, personally, and I'd find it a little bit uncomfortable, but it does make things easier to transition between sitting down and standing up. You could, if you're playing sat down when you're like recording or writing at home, or just playing guitar at home, what you could do is move your entire setup so that it makes you stand up, so that if I want to record my guitar, then I've got to stand up instead of sitting down. Ryan Phillips from Story of the Year does this, so his setup is you know, chest height, but he's standing up, so it forces him to play standing up. For me, so I sit down like I'm doing now to write and record videos and record guitar parts for various different people, as well as Young Heart. And then I literally practice playing those parts standing up. It's basically as simple as that, I'm afraid to say. Some of the riffs that I play in Young at Heart are actually surprisingly difficult, and I found out that the hard way when trying to play them at a rehearsal. So what I'll do is, if I know that we've got a gig coming up, or if I've spent some time outside of the studio, like the rehearsal studio, then I'll devote at least half an hour a day, a few days before, like every day before I'm supposed to go into the rehearsal studio or to a gig, and I'll play through the set standing up. I have my board out, I have the tracks on in the background so I can play along to everything else, and I know that I'm playing, you know, the right part of the songs, and I play it like I'm effectively at a gig with very small amount of space, which is like a normal gig. Go through all the changes of sounds, I change pickups, I do everything that I can, swap guitars if I need to, and I focus really on getting it right. And I go into this in another question, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I have a little game that I play with myself where I won't let myself move on to something else until I've completed it, but I'll go on to something else. I'll explain that in a second. So yeah, but I'm a big advocate of getting in the band and getting into a rehearsal space and playing with other musicians, particularly if you can find musicians that are better than you, or they're more experienced, or they've been playing for longer. And the reason why that is if you play in a band with people that, you know, aren't as good as you, or they don't understand as much as you, then the lowest denominator there, like the lowest ability, is what you're then playing down to. And it sounds like I'm being quite harsh, but I'm not. When I've played with musicians that are infinitely better than I am, or they've been playing for longer, it forces me to up my game and to be really hyper aware of other things within my playing, and it just puts a little bit of pressure on, but it's a good pressure because I know that I can do what they need. Another point that I'd like to make on the back of that one actually is playing live and putting on a performance is different to just standing up and not sitting down. So if you look at players like Ryan Phillips that I mentioned from Story, he is a killer player and he's a wicked performer. And my experience of trying to do that, because I still don't think I'm as good as what I could be, it really brings home that you can be a guitar player, but no one wants to see a guitar player on stage that's just looking down at the floor and not moving around. Like, you've got to put a show on as well. Otherwise, what's the difference between me paying to go and see you and me listening to you playing it on a iTunes or Spotify, whatever? So put some performance into it, and I would encourage that even when you're making YouTube videos as well, for everybody else out there that makes YouTube videos. Like, let's add some performance to it. Question 4, what's your favourite pedal, and play a quick jam with it? Unfortunately, my pedals are all packed away, but this clip that you're about to hear is me using that pedal. And the pedal is a Buddha wah pedal, and I think it sounds really great because wah pedals, you put your foot back or you put your foot forward. When you put your foot forward on something like, I don't know, like a Crybaby or some other wah pedals, it can sound really harsh and bright. And then when you bring it back and you put your heel to the floor, it can sound really woolly and muddy, and there's no like definition to it. But I found the Buddha wah has been on my board for about 10 years. And it sounds really fat and chunky, but with clarity when it's back in that kind of ooh position. And then when I put it forward, the wah, that position, it's not too bright. So I love that pedal. It's got this cool sweep to it as well in the middle. But I think it might be broken, because the last time I played with it, it felt like really loose, so I need to have a look at it. And then the last question, question 5, how do I feel about Socks and Sandals? Well, I'm indifferent about Socks and Sandals, really. I've owned sandals and I'm wearing socks at the moment. Booyah! Are you asking if they should be worn together at the same time, socks and sandals? I mean, I wouldn't, but it's not up to me, man. Like, if that's your style, make it work. So yeah, thanks for your questions, man.